Hey guys, welcome back. So in this lecture, we're going to have a look at what is Python and at the same time, why should we use Python? Alright, so let's get started now. So first of all, what is Python? So Python firstly was created by Guido van Rossum and it was released in 1991. Python is an object-oriented programming language. So when I say object-oriented programming language, what do I mean? So this is for the beginners who don't really have any knowledge about coding and are just starting off. So object-oriented programming is a way of writing a computer program where you use objects to stand for datas. Alright, so when I basically say that, when you write a certain list of instructions for a computer, you're telling it to do a certain thing. That is called as procedural programming. Alright, but in object-oriented programming, the computer program uses objects to talk to one another. Alright, so that the data can be changed and the object can work in a certain way that the user will want. And because of this, it helps the developer by allowing the code to be reused by another programmer or maybe by other parts of the program. Okay. At the same time, Python is also an open source programming language, which means that it's freely available for everyone to use and anybody and everybody can use it. There's no payments, nothing to be made. At the same time, Python is an interpreted language. So when I say interpreted language, it does not need to be compiled. Okay, so there is a program, it's called an interpreter. And this interpreter runs Python codes and it can run it on any kind of computer, alright. So what this basically means is that the programmer can change the code and you can immediately see the results. Okay, so this also means that it is slower than a compiled language like C because it's not running a machine code directly, alright. So at the same time, it's a high level language. So when I say high level language, it's kind of like English only. So you can read it and understand what it means. So that way you can focus on what you want to do instead of how you should be doing it. Alright. At the same time, it's very easy to learn. Okay. Very simple programming language. Like I said, it's in English, so it makes it really simple. And at the same time, it's portable. So when I say portable, any system that was basically running C can also run Python. Alright. So that is what is Python. At the same time, we look at why Python. So when we say why Python, like we already discussed, it works on different platforms, right? So when I say different platforms, it can work on Windows, Mac, Linux, Raspberry Pi, whatever you need. The syntax is similar to English, like we saw earlier. It's a high level programming language. So if you can read it, you can understand it very simply. Codes in a fewer lines. So like the very simple code, which is the hello world code, can be literally printed in one single line. That's how simple the codes are. So this syntax, the syntax that is available inside Python allows the developers to write the program with very minimal lines of codes. Alright. So this makes it easier to maintain, manage and like work with it. Then when we talk about the execution speed, it runs on an interpreter system. So what it means is that the code can be executed as soon as you write it. Okay, so what benefits you get out of this is that your prototyping can be really quick. So you can write a code, you can check immediately if it's right or not. And if it isn't, you can just immediately make the changes or corrections and move on. At the same time, it can be treated in a procedural way. You remember I told you during object-oriented programming that object-oriented programming uses objects, but if you have a certain steps that you're telling the computer to do or a list of instructions, that is a procedural way of working with it, right? So basically Python can be treated in a procedural way, an object-oriented way or a functional way, alright? At the same time, there are a lot of libraries that you can use which make your coding even more easier for you. Alright, so just some things to tell you just before we wrap up this lecture. These things will be good for you to know is that the most latest version of Python is Python 3, which is what we'll be using. Alright, Python 2 is there, although it's not very updated or anything, other than the security update, it is still quite popular. But we'll be making use of Python 3. Alright. So that's that. And lastly, wanting to tell you what you can do with Python. It can be used for web development, can be used for software development, for mathematics, can be used for machine learning, where you can train a machine, right? And the machine will do stuff for you. That is where artificial intelligence also comes in. Then your audio and video applications, or if you want to create a gaming program, a networking program, or develop a GUI, which is a graphic user interface. Like if you want to create like a desktop GUI's application, you can do that. And you can also work with complex algorithms in this. So all of these developments and all of these benefits that are there with Python make it a very versatile language, and at the same time you can use it anywhere and everywhere you want and really get a lot of benefits out of it. Alright, so this was it for what is Python and why do we use Python. Alright, so I'll see you in the next lecture, and that is where we're going to get started with the real deal. Alright, so see you. Thank you.